um so I noticed that all I've been doing since, I think I had um, my own picture here, so you guys couldn't see the tools that were here, so that is why I raised it up here. So now I said I would work on the Control Z and Control Y, and I've done so. What I did was this here. We can see someone, an icon of someone running, and like a kind of a setting icon at the back. That is the setting where we set our preference. And what I just did was these are the preferences. So this is the time slider that I was talking about, time slider settings, and going to the animation setting, we can see we have frame rate. We should have frame rate here. This is where we have frame rate here. Okay, yes, this frame rate on that time is 24 fps, that is 24 frame per second. We have 23.976, and we can have, like I said, we can have thousands and thousands of frame rates, and that is it here. So we're still gonna be using our 24 frame per second. But what I did to revert everything was go to edit and restore default settings, and now I have my undo back. So if I move this guy here and I want to see it to go back to its previous position or previous condition, I will just press Ctrl Z, and I will have it like that. And it is possible we create some basic animations. That is why I had to just move away the image here, the video here, my picture here, up here, so that we already know what is here, up here. It's just the info of the objects that we have, and that is all for now. So that is what I did to have my Ctrl Z and other things back. So where we'll be going now, I've talked about how to create and adjust primitives to create basic 3D models, and using transform tools to move, rotate. I've actually not rotated yet. I don't think I've rotated an object. So to rotate object, I'll press E, and you can see I talked about let me press it again, E. I talked about moving along one axis and rotating about that axis. So if I want to move along y axis, I can easily just go to move to move up. That is moving along. But if I want to rotate, I need to rotate about that axis. So now let's say I want to rotate about y axis. I'll just press E back, and what is the color for a y axis? That is green, and I have green here. So I'll just rotate like this. You can see what the value is affected in the channel box, and that is rotate y. So rotate y is affected in the channel box. So to go back to the original position, is either I press Ctrl Z multiple times, or I can easily go here and change it back to 0 that it was, and I would have my default position of that object. So another thing we can do is how to organize our work. We also learn how to group parents, objects, and pivoting. So I think I talked about pivoting the other time, but I've not actually show you how it affects our objects, or how it works with our objects. So we need to we renamed the object we have. And okay, I talked about inputs here, and the inputs, these are what I've done on this selected object. You see, poly extrude face 2. I extruded the face of the object. I split poly split ring 4. I don't know that what that is, but I still have poly extrude face 1, That is the first one I did. I have poly delete edge. Those are the edges I deleted. You know, I deleted few edges the other time. Those are the edges I deleted. And tweak is me moving the edge around. That is tweaking. So we have split ring again, split ring 2, split ring 3, and polycube 2. This was this is the default, the beginning of the object. When I created the object, this is what I had: p cube 2, polycube 2. That is it. Poly is from polygons, and cube is the actual shape. So you can see from cube, ordinary cube, I achieved this. So these things, they catch in the memory of the PC. They take up the memory as we have it here. To avoid wasting our RAM or our memory PC, we can actually delete all these things. So to delete that, you should know, or you should be very sure that you are done with all things here, that you don't want to do any like undo, that you are done with the object's transformation or deformation. So what you now do is you go to edit, and you see delete by type, and you see history, and the shortcut is Alt Shift D. So watch what happens the moment I click that. You can see we have those things are gone. Those things, the inputs that are gone. So that is it. That is it. Another thing you need to know before we go on is, let's say you've actually adjusted these extrude, move around, scale, and all. Now you want to have this, you want to make the computer assume that this object is actually an original object. It's a just created object that you have not done anything to it. The first thing, or the first process you go on doing, is the first thing we did: deleting type by history, by going to edit and delete by type history. If you want to work on the whole object, it would be delete all by type. It would delete the unselected object too. But now let's say you want to have this thing, this object, as the initial, to be at its own initial condition, initial states, initial environment, initial position. What you do then after the first one that you deleted history, and is to just go to modify, and you see free transformation, and watch the transformation we have under the channel box. I mean here, all these things, the moment I freeze transformation, they all become 0. You can see, meaning that this guy is at its original position, meaning it is at its own original position. So now let's go on parenting, grouping, parenting, and pivoting. So like I said if you actually want to group your work, it makes your work well organized, not to confuse anything for anything. So now this is stool, soccer, and fence. So I can select the upper objects, and select press shift and select the last object, or you can decide, just press stool, control, select this, and you have the whole stuff. And to group it, or to group them, just press Ctrl G. Ctrl G is another shortcut to group, and when I group them, I have just group 1, and you see every one of them is now having just one pivot. So now I can double click on this, and let me say fence, but I don't know if that spelling is correct. Fence. So let's just leave it that way. So now I talked about, you can select by grouping different or multiple objects. You can select the object individually. Let me press Q here so that I can see this thing clearly. So now I selected this guy. You can decide to select this guy, and I would have its own original pivot. So, and that is it. So now I select this one, but I can actually highlight everything, but that doesn't make me it doesn't imply that I've selected the group, because see, I've selected the whole object that has that is within the group, but still it doesn't show me that I've actually selected the group itself. So that is the individualism that I talked about the last class. So now what I can do to actually select the group itself is just select one of these objects, then press the up arrow you have in your keyboard, press it multiple times, and it would select the group itself. You can see now we have the group itself selected, and that is exactly what I was talking about. Now let's say I want to parent, that is about group. Now I want to parent the object. So to do that, I can actually select this from this tool inside the group, shift the last one just like the way I did, and middle mouse click, uh, oops, middle mouse click up, not middle mouse, I think it's left click, and move it out of that group. Now it's no more a group, now we have them here, but we have empty groups, so we can just delete that. And now I want to let me move let me move this guy back. So let me scale this guy up, scale take this one out. So I want to parent this guy to this guy, I want to parent this guy to this guy, so that this one or this guy will be using this guy's center of gravity. That is exactly what I want to achieve right now. Let me just select the three objects. Oh, let me not confuse you, I'm just going to select these two objects. Now this tool and the fence one is what I want to select and parent to themselves. So now I would select the fence first, then select this tool, select the fence, then press Ctrl and select this tool, not shift this time around, because if you press shift it will highlight the circle also. So I want to go on with these two guys. So to parent them, I will just press, after selecting the two one after the other, I will just press P. Now I've pressed P. This is what happens when I move this guy around, it goes on its own. But if I select this guy and move it, you can see the parent follows. You can see the parent follows. Now if I rotate it, it will rotate about the object axis. That is exactly what I was talking about. You can see it's rotating about that axis. And if I move, that is this is the child, this is the parent. So if I move it around, the parent will follow. But if I move the parents, the child will not follow. They are stubborn. I'm undoing all I've done, so now they are all splitted now. So that is the essence of grouping and parenting. That is the essence of grouping and parenting, and that is how group parents and others works. So let's do a basic animation and round up the class. Sorry, I am a bit fast. Yes, I just have to get this through done on time and find my sleep. This is it's late actually. So we just make some animations now, and we'll call it a day. Okay, so let's say, okay, we'll be doing some serious animation, not really basic. It's basic, but we need to understand, we would have to understand the concept of animation, how animation actually works. So I would print this guy down here. Let me press F to see it well. So zoom out. So to check if it's on, it's not on the floor, so I can actually make it there. So I can be sure that it is on the floor now. So, but let me create a floor for it. I'll just create a floor. Okay, I'm still under interactive creation, so I can go to create and primitives and uncheck the interactive creation. So I have my objects like this. So I want to have a bouncing ball, like a bouncing ball. So let's say a rubber ball, so, or leather ball, I don't know what they call it, but that is the animation we want to have. So now I would go for, okay, before I start the animation, let's say we'll be using the same thing. We'll be using going to animation, yes, settings, 24 frame per second. So right, that is what we want. And the weight tangent, yes, that is weighted tangent is auto default tangent, is what we'll be using. So I'll go to the time slider. So I would play every frame. Where this play every frame is necessary or essential is when you have a bulky objects or characters in your scene. When you have bulky or a lot of objects in your scene, but you need to see every action or every motion of those objects, so you use play every frame. It will play every frame. But if you use um retime, I should have play every frame. Where's my retime? Playback speed, retime, yes, I think this is it. Retime times 1. I think this has been changed though. It used to be a retime, but now I just have 24 fps times 1. I think that is retime. That is surely retime. It's Divine's retime, obviously. So I will just press save. So the retime is, if since I'm using 24 frames per second, so it will always try to maintain its 24 frames within 1 second. But if I had used play every frame, if the objects I'm animating, if they have high poly counts, and the system tends to be hanging, so at this frame 15 it will try to hang or slow down just to maintain to have the whole frame. When it is done to animate, it will show the whole frames, the whole motion for me. Or if it is play retime, then it will just go smooth, and it will jump some things just to maintain the time that I ask it to play. So that is the difference between play every frame and excuse me, and 24 frame per second times 1. That is the difference. So I am at 1. So I would select this object. That is the ball. That is the ball, and that is the initial position. So to key this place, I would press S to key this object here at this particular time or frame. I'll press S, and watch what happens. You can see I have at frame 1 I have red line. If you see it very well, I don't know, you can see at frame 1 I have red line, and coming down to the channel box, you can see all these things changed to they changed to red. It shows they are being keyed. They are being keyed, that I key the ball at this frame using with this input, with this channel box. So that is the meaning. Now that is the first frame. Let's now say at frame or before I go on, since it's still at frame 1, let's say it's a free fall object that the ball is dropping like this, it's coming down. So um, then I'll go to frame, let me go to 20. Since it's like 20 frame and 24 frame per seconds, so and I want this to happen before a second ends. So now I go to 20, and it's even surprising that, okay, I did not key this side. Let me take it up back and key again, and see, I have the key here, auto key. So if I select this, I won't need to be pressing S every time I move the object. So when I move the object, it's key, when I move the object in a different frame, the object with key itself. So I'll just select that. So I have auto keyframe toggle there. So when I go to 15 20, I can bring this guy down. But before I bring it down, I need to, okay, don't worry, that it's not necessary. So I'll just bring it down, and see, this is where I can bring it down to. So I can go to translate this and go to what we used the other time, 0.5. Yes, 0.5. Oh, I think it's more than 0.5. 1 is exactly 1. So that is at frame 20. So let me go to frame 40. Or before I go to frame 40, I can still, because I only changed translate y, I brought it down um, from y, from up down, that is y axis. That is why this thing is changing. It's because the only thing I changed there was the x and the y axis, and I've selected auto key. That is why it's, if I move it forward to the side, it selected this to, it keyed to me moving it to the z axis, but that's not what I want. So I press Ctrl Z to undo. So now I need to take it to 40 and take it back up, but not as higher as it was when it was in okay. So I'm just gonna take this and go to okay. You can see that is something like an animation there. So I want it to come more down, to go higher. So I'll press S so as to key everything here. So I can now come to 77 and change it back to 40. So the last frame is 40. Now I can have a loop. What we call loop is loop, emotion repeating itself. So since the first motion, the first frame, second frame, and the last frame, they are the same thing, like they are the same, they recycle. So I want to recycle, which is looping. I want to recycle the motion or the movement. So if I play this, see what happens. So it goes like it's floating, it doesn't appear bouncing, and I want to achieve a bouncing ball. So what I can do to correct that, I would go to Windows and animation editors, graph editor. That is where I edit my graph. You can see I have lots of motions here. So this is the graphical representation of the motion I had here. So you can see, let's say what I really worked on was y-axis, which is this axis. So this is the axis I worked on a lot, which is translate y. So I can select translate y here to have the curve alone, and I want this place to bounce back and go back up, not behave like a floating ball. You can see just behave like a floating ball. That's not what I want. So I can come here now and press A to have a full view of that guide. So I can highlight this point here and come to this side, break tangents or linear tangents. I can have break tangents too. This is it. Yes, so I can break that line and then add it to line target. So when the ball comes down, it bounces. It doesn't float again because this place can float up like zero velocity area. So when object goes up before it comes down, we have zero velocity. But I'm not concerned about that place because it's normal as it curves. So it because it's lightly, it goes straight without changing in motion. So this side is the motion and this side is the time or the frame that we had. You can see this point, this key pose here is on 20 and we have it on 20 here too, and the last one was on 40 and this is the 40 line. The first one is on 1 and this is 1. So now since I've break tangent and set it to linear, the ball will just bounce. Pips doesn't have a time to like have zero velocity so as to make it float or something, so it just bounces up and go because I've broken the tangent here and made it straight. So when I play, I just have a bouncing ball, something like that, but still not bouncing the way I want it. I want it to bounce, pass and go up, pass and go up. So I can edit that too. So since I break targets, I can do this individually by just selecting that and do it like that. This too. So I want it to bounce, pass, pass, pass. Let's say again, pass. Yes, that is it, pass. But the heights are different, so I can go back there. You can see it's skipping. I don't know if you watch this well. At some point here it skips up, that is to repeat itself. So to correct that, I can make it the same height by just selecting that and think taking it up, yes, to like so, to something like that. Think of the same height there, so I can now play something like that. You can see I have a bouncing ball. Let me press F. Let me press oh, I don't necessarily have to press F. Let me go to perspective view so that we see it clearly here. I can disable the grid by just coming here, grid, select it, so we don't have any grid there again. So if I play it again, but this type of bouncing ball, this type of animation, it's like a plastic ball, and not all this plastic ball that we buy for small kids, and not the normal rubber ball that deform when it bounces on the ground. So if we want to achieve that, we need to have something like that, right? To um, scale up and down and something. So when it bounces down, we need to scale. So but before we go on, I need to, since I would change the scaling. So let's go to the last. Okay, the scale is keyed here. The first two is keyed. So the first here when it lands, which is at 20. So we need to let's see how it bounces. Let's see how it bounces. So let's see. So it's just bounce. Let's make it slow, something like that. It just bounces, and when it bounces, it's supposed to deform, like compressed, like pressed beats where it lands. So there are two ways that we can do that. One is more professional than one, so I will go to with the beginners the formation when a ball is in when the ball is animating. So I'll go with that first. So at exactly at 20 when it lands, I will just press R to scale and scale it down like so, and then bring it down. So that is it. But immediately it goes back up, it needs to stretch back. So I'll go to immediately to 21 and go to the scale back and press I think it's 1, yes, it goes back, and before it lands, it needs to be full too, so I need to change that one to 1. So it's only when it lands that it's compressed, and when it's off the ground, it stretches back. It's I don't know how to put it. That is the realistic way to make ball. We don't just make animations, we look at like a reference, a real ball. When a real ball lands on floor, what happens? What type of real ball deform when it lands? What type of real ball doesn't deform when it lands? So when I if I play this, you can see it looks more realistic than it was before. So let me just uncheck this thing to see it clearly. You can see it shows something bouncing, something like that. And to go cartooning, I will explain if you want to go cartooning too. But now let's see. Now it looks more realistic that it was. Just looking at that compressing, when it compresses, you can see it as it goes down, as it lands. You can see it compressed like something is a rubber, something like that. You can see how it's I don't know if you can see that very well, something like that. So that is how to go about animation. You can, I don't know if you have any question to ask, then please write it somewhere, and we'll have that on Thursday, next week Thursday. Or we can have maybe you guys can um, have your numbers, and have mine too, and create a group for the class. So if anybody is having any question, you can please ask me there. Please, please, let's make it that way. No, I'm not closing. So that is 3D animation there. We just animated a soccer ball. Okay, I said we can go cartooning here. So the way to do that, so at this place, it's actually like that. So when it goes up, at its peak, you can have something funny. You can just have stretch it like this, and let's see what we have. Yes, let's stretch it like that. The stretching is 1.7, so we go to 40 and change it also to 1.40 at stretch 1.7. So now let's see the difference. So if I play it now, okay, now I can shift select 21 frame, and right click and delete it. Select 19, right click and delete, and now we have this at 20. I can compress it more, just to exaggerate. You know, in cartoon animation we exaggerate a lot, so I'm just trying to exaggerate things now. So I've done the normal realistic way, but this is an exaggerative way, and you can have that. I'm looking at it from, yes, so you can. Now let me play that again, and let's see it this way. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. Let me go back to 21 and stretch it back to the normal one, and 19, and stretch it back to 1, and let me play it back. Yes, I think it's good that way. It's good that way. So that is it. Or think it's the forms faster, so I can press this is 21, 1 2 3 4. At that point I can stretch it more to something like that, so it maintains its stretch before it goes down. 1 2 3 4, like that. There too. So now if I replay it back, yes, yes, you can see that is like a cartoon um ball bouncing, or a rubber, something. I don't know the object we can give that. So that is our first animation class. That is our first animation. So if you have any question, you can see it's moving, and these are the twines I was talking about. I only had the key poses that I needed. So at 1 it was up, and I need to like I need to key that, and at 40 it was also up, and at 20, that is in between the first frame and the last frame, it needs to hit the ground, and that is 20. And when it hits the ground, I need to like deform it, show to give the simulation that something hits something, and the force causes the deformation. And immediately when it leaves the ground, it needs to maintain back or return back to um, its original shape when on here. And the same thing with before it lands and after it lands. And then we decided that we want to have a cartoony bouncing ball, and that is why we stretched it up, and at 25 too. That is why we stretched all those and have this. So that is what we later resorted to. So that is 3D animation class, our first animation class ever. So if you have any question, please get your numbers down and create a group, like a WhatsApp group, and add my number to. I would ask area to give you my number. Well, I'll still state it here in case you don't get it here. It is 081 8296 081 8296 2997, 081 8296 2997. So please add me to your group, guys, and you can ask any question, or you can if the video is not clear enough and maybe you need to see it again, you can, and you can collect the video from Aroya and take it home and watch it over and over till you get some steps or some concepts there. Thank you, and once again, I am so sorry for not being physical in the class. I'm so sorry. I just have a lot of things to attend to. Please forgive me. Please just forgive me, and it won't happen again. I promise it will never happen again. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial with me, bearing with me, and if you have anything else to just ask, please ask questions in the forum, like in the WhatsApp forum. Thank you guys. Adinka is saying we shall be meeting again in peace and not in pieces. So peace.